The first book of Samuel, the 30th chapter. I'm going to drop down. I'm going to start reading right there at the 6th verse. 1 Samuel, the 30th chapter, verse 6. I'm coming from the NIV. Here's what it says. David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in their spirit because of his sons and daughters. But David found strength in the Lord his God. Verse 7, then David said to Abiathar, the priest, the son of Amalek, bring me the ephod. Abiathar brought it to him. And David inquired of the Lord. Here's what he asked. Shall I pursue this raiding party? Not only shall I go at them, but will I overtake them? Here's the response. The response is pursue them. For you will certainly overtake them and succeed in the rescue. For the next 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I'm going to be in the same chapter because there's so much to say. And I'm actually preaching a prelude today to our watch night service. I got a theme that God gave to me that I was excited about when he gave it to me. It'll come to you on Tuesday night. But for today, I just want to rest in these 3 little verses. And I want to talk to you from this title, Spoiler Alert. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, that's the subject for today. Spoiler alert. You may be seated. Father, be with me, be for me, speak with me. Give me strength, power, conviction, understanding, revelation. That as I speak your word, that your word would go forth, that it would establish everything that you have set forward, that nothing will be lacking. Help me to preach beyond the time of my studies and the years of my wisdom, that I will be able to impart into your people a great word that will change their lives and give them a carryover spirit into the new year. We give you glory for it, and it is so. In Jesus' name, amen. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. When I was in college, I had a friend. He was known for messing up movies. We would go watch movies, and we would go watch the movies. We'd be so excited about the movie. Every once in a while, me, him, and another one of our friends, we would go together, all sitting a chair apart from each other. Y'all catch that? But we would go to this movie, and we would sit at the movie, and we would have such great anticipation. My friend is a movie goer, so he would go like to the movies as soon as they come out. Me and my other friend, we would go when time permitted. We would fit it into our schedules. And every time we went to the movie, he usually have seen the movie before we saw it. And he would get there, and just when the music intensifies, he would turn and slap me on the wrist and say, D, check this part out. And that would take away the intense feeling that I was embodying at the time, because he put me on notice that something was about to happen. Every once in a while, he would get overly zealous about the movie, and he would actually tell me what is happening. You know, I don't like going to movies with people that talk during the movies. It bothers my spirit when you put yourself into the motion picture. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But I found myself there, and every once in a while he would hit me and be like, man, watch this car scene that's about to take place. And it literally would spoil everything about the movie. He would even go sometimes and give me the punchline of the movie early on before we even got to the movie. We'll mess things up. So, to say the least, I stopped going to the movies with my friend. He mastered, Lawrence, in letting the cat out the bag early. And when I began to read this text, I found myself visiting Urban Dictionary. And as I visited Urban Dictionary, it defines spoiler alert as one that tells the conclusion before it reaches it. So I go here and I look at this body of scripture today, and I was talking to the Lord about the theme for 2020. And as I was talking to the Lord about the theme for 2020, he began to lead me to this text. And he said to read the text before you read the text, because you got to understand something before you can communicate something. I said, all right. So he led me here to this 6th verse. And we find that David and his boys had been out on a mission. As they were out on a mission, we find that upon their return to Ziklag, we find that something had transpired. What had transpired was the fact that the wives and the kids were not killed, but they were captured, taken into captivity. And as they were taken into captivity, we find that now this really began to disturb the men, because upon returning back to their city, the entire town is torn down, it's destroyed, it's at a blaze. And quite naturally, the men were distressed. The men were upset. Matter of fact, they were not just upset with those that came and took control of the city and destroyed it, but they was frustrated with this guy by the name of David. They was frustrated with David because they figured, David, you the one that got us out here doing this stuff in the first place. And because of following you, we now got a problem. Here becomes my first revelation of the text. The first revelation of the text is understanding how God shows us the leader separate from the followers. Because watch, the followers are upset because the women and the children have been captured and their city has been destroyed. That didn't bother David according to the text. According to the text, David becomes frustrated because the men were talking about stoning him. So he's not mad about what happened. He's mad about the mentality of the people who are with him. Follow me, I'm going somewhere. He's upset with them that they have not trusted the God of Israel enough to know that if something has happened that is alarming to you, to your dissatisfaction, they have not learned that God will take care of it. So they are upset with David while David is upset with them. But here's what blessed me. Because when I quickly read this, Kai, I saw this word distressed. And for the longest, I always concluded distress to be something that is not. Distress. This word distress. It means a state of great suffering in the body or the mind. So I always kind of concluded distress to also be kind of partnered with discouraged. But then I saw something different. Distress is not discouraged. There's a difference between your mind being suppressed and your mind suffering and your body suffering than it is in discouragement. Because the word discourage means to lessen the mentality to perform again. So David says, I ain't mad about what happened. Because I already know that what happened can be reversed. I'm mad that I'm dealing with folks that don't understand the potential of what God is able to do. Text says David is distressed. He's distressed because these men here, they were talking about stoning him. The men have a natural affection, which is called bitterness. It's a hard thing when you're trying to lead bitter people. It's a hard thing when you're connected to bitter people. Because bitter people don't know how to get over a feeling to get to a result. Y'all missed that. And some of y'all, 2019, you've been partnered with bitter people. And your partnership with bitterness has stifled your ability to get over what they're dealing with. Text says that David is here. David is here. He's here. He's dealing with bitter people who only result will be to do something that will not change the narrative. The bitter people don't say, let's go get our wife and kids. The bitter people say, let's stone David. Missed that. I want you to understand that when people are emotional, most times they start to choose things that won't even do anything different in the first thing. Y'all didn't catch that. When people are emotional, when they are bitter, when they are functioning in the bitterness, they tend to select things that won't even change the outcome of what made them bitter in the first place. David is dealing with these feeble-minded individuals who are bitter now. And as they are bitter, they say, you know what? Our wives and our kids are gone. And because they're gone, we want to take you out. David is struggling with this. He's suffering in this presentation. And David says, you know what? I ain't going to fight against y'all, because we got to understand something about David now. Don't get it twisted. David is a bad mamma jamma. Just as fine as he could be. David is not no pushover. I promise you I'm going to lift it up in a second. He's not a pushover, but instead he does not try to retaliate with them in the same measure that they want to retaliate against him. Can I tell you that when you're being used by God, there will be so much humbling moments for you where you have the ability to do some stuff, but you don't have the release to do some stuff. Y'all ain't talking to me. There'll be moments when you know what to do but don't have the release to. Have you ever been there when you knew how to do something but you didn't have permission to do something? When you knew what to say, like I could cuss you out and get you straight in front of everybody, and when I finish cussing you out, everybody would know that I done showed you your place, but God held you from doing what you was able to perform. David is here. I'm going somewhere. He's here, and he says, you know what? Y'all want to stone me, even though I can kill y'all, but y'all want to stone me. But instead of me retaliating back with stoning you, instead what I decided to do is I decided to seek the Lord God for strength and for direction. Here it becomes, let's go there. So that really caught me, Antoine, when I saw he found strength in the Lord. His God, because I know that I'll be preaching to a lot of people that find strength in their abilities. A lot of people that will find strength in their surroundings, strength in their economic status, strength in all these other things. But David says, no, the wise thing in this moment is to find strength in the Lord. Look at your neighbor real quick and tell your neighbor, say, whatever you're going through, tell them, say, your real solution is going to be in God. Note this here. So David he's dealing with this distress moment. He's dealing with these bitter people. David now with the distress moment and with bitter people decides to seek God for direction. He looks to God for direction, and when he looks to God for direction, he finds a strength inside of the Lord. And I begin to ask myself, what is this strength? And strength is also calculated as confidence. And I saw that David first had confidence in his condition. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, confidence in his condition. Watch this, his condition. He's confident. He's confident in his protector. He recognizes something. He recognizes that even though the women and the children are gone, even though we see no traces of blood here, even though we see no bodies left here, God has been doing something for something. And I don't understand why God is doing what he's doing, but I also see what God didn't do. And I just want to talk to somebody about that real quick, because a lot of y'all want to talk about what's happening, but you ain't talking enough about what ain't happening. You see some stuff that you didn't like, but you also didn't talk about the stuff that he did not do. Look at your neighbor real quick and tell your neighbor, it's a lot of stuff I don't like, but tell him it's a lot of stuff I can be thankful for too. Yeah, I don't like that I lost my job, but I do like that I ain't homeless. I don't like that I'm in a bad relationship, but I do like the fact that he keeps providing for me some kind of way. I don't understand it, but sometimes you got to talk about what God didn't do. Text says something. He finds confidence. I'm building. He finds confidence in his protector. He realizes who's in control. He realizes he's already performing outside of his league. He understands his history. He understands from where he's come from. He understands what God has brought him through. And when he sees all that God has done for him in the past, it reminds him that only God can bring me to where I am. Only God can set me up to be in this position where I am right now. Even though my kids are gone, even though my wives are gone, but God still gave me breath in my body. God still gave me another opportunity. God still gave me another chance. And he began to look at the fact, why did God protect me to see this? Let me deal there. I heard Minister Antoine say something in praise and worship. He says that many people have died in what he lived through. And the question becomes, why did God leave you to see what you see? Why did God allow you to still be in the place that you are? He didn't allow you to see it just to suffer. He allowed you to see it so you could drive over it. He allowed you to see it so you can deal with it, so you can help somebody else. He allowed you to see it so that you will know that no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Why did God allow me to see it? Text says something here. Catch it. Text says something here. He says, watch this. He says that David finds strength in the Lord. So the first thing that he's confident in, he's confident in his protector. The second thing that David is confident in is he's confident in his prophecy. He's confident in his prophecy. Watch this. He brought, watch this. I can imagine he said to himself, now God said something to me that has not manifested yet. Let me break this down that it will ever be broken. That's called love jaws. He says something here. He says, watch this. He says, I'm confident in something that was spoken over me. Now note this. We understand that David was crowned king in the 16th chapter. We understand that Samuel came along and he anointed him king in the 16th chapter. But I need you to understand something here. I need you to understand that he's anointed king 3 times in the duration of 7 years. I'm going to say that again to you. He is anointed 3 times in 7 years. From Samuel's consecration to Judah's inauguration, he had to undergo drilling and proof. He had to undergo some times of struggles. He had to undergo some times of drilling. He had to undergo some times of proving. And when he went through all these things, things, it was strategically fitted for him to be in the position that he was in. Yeah, watch this. In the 16th chapter, we find that David is anointed to become king of Israel. But in 2 Samuel, the 2nd chapter, verse number 4, we find that David is anointed to be king by the men of Judah. But in 2 Samuel, the 5th chapter, verse number 3, we find that David was anointed to be accepted as king of Israel by the elders of Israel. So again, we got this anointment that takes place in the first book of Samuel. It begins to tell us about what's going to take place, because you got to understand that God will always speak before God performs. I'm going to say that again. God will always speak before he performs. And so many of us ignorantly run straight from the anointing, and we say that that's all that it takes. But note this, after the anointing has come on David, we still find that he's sent back to the desert, but the desert was not the end of the process. We still find that after he comes out the desert and he goes and fights Goliath and he slews Goliath, he still don't walk into kingship. We find that after that he has to go through another stance of situations that further begins to push him into what God has for him to be. I say all that to say to you that just because you're going through something, it don't mean God ain't taking you somewhere. I need you real quick to slap high five with somebody on your road and say, neighbor, say, just because you're going through something does not mean that God ain't taking you somewhere. I feel glory here. David now, he goes through all of these things, and here's one of the disconnects that we have. The disconnect that we have is that the word got out that we are anointed, but we also see that we look nothing like what got out. We look nothing like what was spoken of us. We look nothing like what's supposed to come to pass. We look nothing like the promised child. And David is in this position where he had to wrestle within himself to make sure that what God said to him is actually what God meant for him. Matter of fact, don't talk to nobody else. Put your hands on your own self and tell yourself to say, self, what God spoke over me is still going to happen. I could dance right there all by itself, because God's been putting you through some stuff that looks like what he spoke over you ain't gonna take place. You've been going through some hell that looks like what God spoke over you ain't gonna come to pass. But I need you to touch your own self on the chest again and just remind yourself that his word still works. Text says something here. Text says something here. He goes through this thing. Watch this. He goes through these. He goes through this public announcement, and then he goes through these private battles. He goes through this public indication, this public affirmation. He goes through this public consecration, but he still has not walked into the office. It's almost like the presidential cycle for the United States. Yeah, you go through electing people in the month of November, but they don't actually walk into office until January. And can I tell somebody in this house, that's exactly where you are. Yep, they've already voted you in, but you just ain't assumed the position yet. But I came to tell you that you cannot stop being presidential because you ain't walked into no White House. Slap somebody high five real quick and say, neighbor, say what was spoken over your life still got legs, and it's still gonna come to pass. So now we find here, shit, I'm almost there. We find that something begins to happen. So David has confidence in the protector. He also has confidence in the prophecy. Note this here. David should not feel like an outcast now. Yeah, I know he didn't know it back then, but we know it to be the case now. David is similar to Jesus. Jesus was born. Y'all know we just celebrated his birth. He was born into this world, and in the conception of him, in the immaculate conception of him, it was prophesied that she's going to bring forth the son, and thou going to call his name Jesus. It was prophesied that he's going to save his people from their sins. It was prophesied. But what happens when the prophecy looks like a problem? What happens when what they spoke over you, it looks like what's going to happen against you? Because some of us are struggling. Some of us are struggling because of the fact that what was spoken over us looks to be like our problem. Now let me just talk to a few anointed folks in the house that know that God has a call on your life. And the moment that you recognize the call of God on your life, it looks like hell begin to break through in your life. Y'all ain't anointed. Yeah, the moment that you begin to walk in what God has promised over you is the moment that you're going to find hell break loose in you, which seems to be a contradiction to the directions that was spoken over your life. Well, I can imagine David says, I'm about sick and tired, God, of going through the transitions that I keep going through. But what really began to encourage me, Shekinah, is the fact that as he was going through, we found that every time he went through something, he began now to be validated by that he came over. Y'all ain't talking back. The moment that he went through something, it began to give validation to the authority that was spoken over him. And I just stopped by the experience this morning and put on my new blue shirt to tell some of y'all that what you're going through right now is not a destruction season, it's a validation season. Note this, note this right here. We find that in the midst of the process, that something begins to be released over here. No longer does he need Samuel to come back and validate that I have already anointed him. But when he goes through the trials and the tribulations, we find automatically that they begin to testify that this is the Lord's doing and God is on his side. Matter of fact, I just come to tell somebody that ain't nothing wrong in your life, but you're just in a season where folks are going to be able to lay their mouth on you and shout out that you are truly called of God. Slap a neighbor high five and say, neighbor, ain't nothing wrong. Tell them, say, I'm just in a proving process. Some of y'all, that's where you are. You think the bag has a hole in the bottom. You think that something's going wrong with the scenario. But I came to tell you, ain't nothing wrong in your life. God's just proving some stuff in you. Matter of fact, just grab a neighbor by the hand and look at that neighbor and say, neighbor, I've been through the storm and I've been through the rain, but tell them, say, some way and somehow I keep making it over, and I don't understand how God keeps making ways out of no ways. It's because I'm in a proving process. Slap another neighbor high five and say, that's the reason why I praise God like I do. Tell him, because he keeps on making ways over and over. Grab somebody else and say, oh neighbor, he keeps on making ways for me. That's my testimony for 2019, that I've been through the storm and I've been through the rain, but some way and somehow I made it over. Do I have anybody in the house today that thought that you wouldn't make it? The first semester of the year was a trying time for you, but some kind of way you made it to the summer months, and then you got to the summer and it looked like all hell broke loose in your life, but you struggled to the September time, and some kind of way you made it to September, and now you're at December because you thought you wouldn't do it. But God says, I keep pulling you because I got greater for you. Lean on your neighbor and say, neighbor, say, God
keeps pulling you because he ain't done with you yet. Do I have anybody that got confidence today to say I may be dismayed, but I'm not discouraged because I'm convinced that God will take care of you. Lean on another neighbor and tell them, say, God is in the process of performing what was prophesied over you. Come on, tell them again. Say, every prophecy, every word, every scripture, every dream, every promise, it's getting ready to get clearer in the new year because God is preparing me for something greater. Do I have any greater folks in the house today? Open your mouth and shout out, I've been saved for a time such as now. The race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but it is given to the one that can endure it until the end. Slap high five with somebody and say, wake yourself up. Tell them, say, we're almost about to cross over into a new year. And the reality is, with all of the pain and all of the bruises, God's still been good. With all of the crying nights, God's still been good. With all of the lonely moments, God's still been good. And I'm excited about next year. Snap high five with somebody and say, this year. Tell a matter of fact, this Sunday is the last day I'm sitting next to discouraged folks because I gotta be connected to somebody that got faith in this season. Do I have anybody? And come on, church. Do I have anybody that say I'm going through, but I still believe? I still believe what God says about my life. I still believe that it's gonna come to pass. I'm not discouraged because I recognize that God keeps on making a way for me. Somebody ought to give God a praise. Not only was he encouraged, not only did he have confidence, but he also had confidence in his praise. Lean on your neighbor and say, neighbor, say, in the next few days, tell him I'm about to praise God like I done lost my mind. Tell him, because whatever I've been through that did not destroy me. Come on, talk to somebody. Look at him and say, whatever I went through that did not destroy me is set up for a praise party. Y'all ain't talking to nobody. Whatever you went through that is allowing you to still live here, to still breathe here, to still see here, it's all been set up for a praise party. Look at one more person for the very last time and say, neighbor, I'm about to praise God in advance for what I already know has already been released over my life. He told David, I want you to go back and I want you to take it back. Slap somebody high five and then tap your own self and say, I just want you to see that God is getting ready to do something amazing in my life. It's my testimony season. It's my praise season. I'm about to dance for the next 3 days because I got confidence in what God is about to do. He's about to bring me over. He's about to work it out. He's about to open doors. I speak it in the house now that this is a supernatural season of signs, miracles, wonders, and breakthrough. God's about to restore some stuff. I need somebody. Open your mouth and begin to praise God, not for what you got, but praise God for what's about to take place, because the devil meant it for your evil, but God worked it out for your good. Look at somebody and tell them, look at my feet, because in this season my feet are about to testify. Look at my praise, because my praise is about to testify. I don't have confidence in some other stuff, but my praise, I got confidence in it, because when the praises go up, I already know that blessings are coming down. I need somebody to send them a praise on the last Sunday of the year. Praise God. Praise in the sanctuary. Praise on the string instruments. Praise on the high sounding cymbals. Praise on the loud sounding cymbals. Let everything that got breath in your body open your mouth and give God a praise. Praise him because it's already getting better. Praise him because it's already working out. Praise him because it's already turning around. Let everything that got breath in your body, that's your confidence, y'all. Open your mouth and give God a praise. Praise him with my hands. I'll praise him in the dance. I'll praise him. That's my choice. I'll praise. I feel that in my spirit, that it ain't over yet. We're about to cross over into a brand new year, and the favor of God, the favor of God just ran over to your next season. Somebody ought to give God a praise.
David found strength. He found strength. He found strength in God's ability to perform all over again. Can you imagine how much he could have lost? Watch this. Imagine how much he could have lost. Softly. There you go. Imagine how much he could have lost if he would have gotten to the same feelings that the people were in. Imagine how much he would have fumbled and displaced if he would have just been like the people. Imagine how much, imagine how many kids, imagine how many women would have died because he didn't maintain a confidence. And today you might not have a human that is depending upon you for your confidence. But you do have a dream. You got a mission. You have an assignment that is depending upon you to have your confidence in the new season. How many of y'all done lost it because you so immature that you stayed in your feelings? The text further tells us, how I preach it later on in the month, 600 went, 200 stayed at another location because they was just too tired. I can't do this no more, I'm tired. You're too tired to get your wife and your kids? You're not too tired. You're exhausted mentally because you don't believe in your abilities to accomplish it. So God will send the rest of us to do your work. But you will have to go through your situation again because you didn't have the faith to walk into the season. So it still will get accomplished, but you won't be rewarded, not from the sake of kids and children returning or dreams returning, but you're going to go back through the same battle again that you did not graduate from because you ain't learned how to not be in your feelings. David says, God, give me a way, watch this, not to get the kids back, but give me a way to get these confidence back. Because I already know that the Lord giveth, the Lord take it away. But if you take it away, I know that you can restore it back to me again. Because some of y'all done lost some stuff in 2019, and you ain't moved on in life because of what you lost. You still struggling with what you lost. Every time you see something about it, aggravates you, irritates you, and brings you right back to the same place that you were. Something that you did not conquer in life that keeps raising up in your future. So you traveling distance but not feeling like you belong there because you know that you're on somebody else's borrowed faith. God says, I want you to have your own confidence in this one. I need you to see it yourself. I need you to accomplish this. Because when this arrives again, you won't be bitter about this. Watch how the advancement is given because of the maturity of the individual. He's anointed king now by the men of Judah. Because when everybody else lost their mind, he kept his. So he don't have to go back and say, I should be your king. They said, we want you as our king. Because you were the only one that kept your head together. Can I tell you that there's going to be certain circumstances and situations that's going to outline who should be in control and who should stay a follower? And the question becomes, where do you stand with it? Are you standing from the standpoint of, I have to always have somebody else to lead me? Because your emotions would validate your leadership. Some of y'all struggle with leadership. Not because you're not smart, you're not wise, you're not gifted. You're too emotional. You don't know how to put your feelings on the back burner and maintain a posture that represents Christ. So God says, yeah, I got great for you, but I can't give you great because you're still not good at controlling your feelings. You're still too emotional driven. People sometimes talk to me and they say, I don't know how you do it. I tell them I do it because I understand who I am. And who I am says I can't be like everybody else. That's the difference in me and some of y'all. Not that I'm better, I'm just more disciplined. Certain things I don't do in my life. Certain things I'll never let you see about my life. Because I understand I'm a leader. And the moment I look like you, now the question is, who's leader here? And here you are looking for promotions, but you still look like the entry level people. You got to grow up. Look at your neighbor, tell them, say, you got to grow up now. They don't like this kind of conversation. The truth is, you can't be the CEO looking like you in orientation. And some of you got a promotion on your life that has not been released because you can't get out of orientation. David says, man, this ain't right. But I got a confidence. So what's your confidence? My confidence is my prophecy. I believe what Samuel said to me. I believe that's going to come to pass. So I'm confident there. So I'm confident enough to walk into the camp. I can walk in the camp because I already know that what was spoken has not been performed. So I ain't scared to walk into the camp. Y'all afraid because you didn't have the promise. That's why I'm the one that says, shall I pursue? Will I win? He speaks back to me, bruh, go ahead and get it. You're going to get them and recover, not some of it, not partial. Because 2020 is not going to be a partial victory for us. It's an all. Listen to me. You can't get all being half. You can't get all being half. You can't get all being half. Flaky in your emotions and unstable in your ways will continue you into 2020 with discounts. People will not buy you at full price, and they will not invest in you for consistency. You got to show yourself to be approved. David is in one of the most difficult places of his life. This is one of the indications that they're talking about killing him. Not one man, an army of men talking about killing him. And he does not change his posture. He stays consistent in his ways. That's my question to you, old man. I'm going to say something that's going to hurt some of y'all feelings. I'm going to say something that's going to hurt some of your feelings. Sometimes I'm so discouraged by my young adults because you are gifted out this world beyond measures, but you don't have the package. You don't have the package to get what you prophesy for yourself because you have not learned the art of being stable and not emotional. You're not being held back because of your talent level. You have it. It's birthed. It's given to you. You're being held back because of your stableness and your discipline. So when the heart of the king is now changed for your favor, you move locations. So how can I bless what's no longer there? Y'all ain't hearing this. Watch this. Your generation is supposed to advance supernaturally. Not from a standpoint of an arrogance, because God will not honor your arrogance. Do you hear me? He tells us what happens after pride, the fall. So you're supposed to be advancing fast because you got to keep up with society. Listen to the prophetic word. You're supposed to be advancing fast. But the problem is, what are you committed to? Yourself. And the self-centeredness of your commitment would never ever benefit anybody else. God says, slow your roll, find yourself in a place of discipline, find yourself in a place of commitment, get out of the emotions and watch me advance you. You can't quit because the door looks closed. You can't uproot because it looks like no ground here to be able to plant in. You're moving off of flesh. I don't know why I'm here. You're moving off of flesh and you're not moving off of faith. And faith is not what you want, it's what God says. So you would have a life history of failure because you never learned how to listen to what God says for you. You're going to walk into 2020 discouraged because of the fact that you are still trying to get God to move the way you want to be. God says, no, I have blessed you and gifted you for a space and a season. David can't function as a Palestine. He's an Israelite. You can't take your giftedness to another land. I have a season and a location for you. I'm successful in Orlando. I cannot promise you I'll be this successful in Daytona Beach. Hear the Lord. Because here you are jumping from pillar to post like a prostitute. Because of the fact that you have not settled yourself down to find out what is God saying about me. This ain't no hard thing. You made it hard. You can have everything promised to you, but you got to get out your emotions. I know y'all don't like me right now. But I don't want you walking through 2020 and here you are at 2030. Talking about the year gonna change from me. Devil is a lie. It ain't changing until you change. Ain't nothing happening different till you do something differently. This is a year that we got to start hearing what God is saying to us and not what we're feeling for ourselves. And stop looking at somebody else as their success level to say that that's your success level. That's their story. That's why they telling it. I honor some great men. What Bishop Joseph Walker does is phenomenal. What Jamal Bryant does is phenomenal. What Herb Crump does is phenomenal. These are all friends of mine. But I'm not Jamal. I'm not Herb. I'm not Bishop Walker. I'm not Bishop Wiggins. I'm Derrick McRae. And I can't function in their space. The soil belongs to them. But God got a carved out place for me called home ownership for myself that I can function in. And I'm saying to all of you, find your place. We're done. David got himself together. He said, I don't like this man. The text even says, go back to the 4th verse real quick. The 4th verse right there. Watch this. The text says something right here. Watch. So David and his men did what? Wept aloud. Until what? So it's not saying that he wasn't sad. He wept until he couldn't do it no more. And after he ran out of strength, he stood up and said, so God, what? I need you to help me. I need you, God, to bring me through this when I can't do this myself. God, I need you. I'm tired. He has no strength. And in the midst of his weakness, he looks to the hills from which cometh his help. He recognizes all my help comes from you, God. Can I tell you that God will strip you from everything you think you have the ability to do? To get you to recognize you finish, you tired yet? How you gonna respond now? For some of you, that's where you are. Here's my altar call. Thank you, Holy Ghost. My altar call says to some of y'all today, you are so drained. Ministers, come quickly across the front. You're so drained. You're tired. You're tired. Y'all spread a little bit more that way too, Your Honor. There you go. You're tired. You're drained. And you're trying to muster up strength for the new year, but even you feel like you flodge into yourself. You fake it to yourself. God says, I want to speak clarity to you. I want to give you some real direction and definition. I don't want you going into the new year, and this is not my New Year's Eve message. I don't even know if I'm going to preach like that. I think I may be doing declarations on New Year's Eve. It's going to be with texts and declarations maybe. That's what I'm feeling God is leading me. But I'm saying that today, you can literally walk in here. You can move outside of your comfort zone, and you can connect. And when you connect with us, we're simply saying to you, God, speak and give revelation. Because you don't need another plan. You got those. You may need to erase the plan that you have and go back to the naked drawing board to find out purpose and direction. Because it's nothing worse than having a business plan but not being in the right geographical area for it to succeed. It's like selling urban music in Wyoming. It ain't gonna work. And some of you have such great concepts and ideas, but you're doing it wrong. And it's a humbling place to say, this ain't been right. This ain't been right. I got a friend that called me this week. Called me out the clear blue and says, man, I need you to come and pick up my tithe check. And I said, okay. Now let me let you know. I'm not cranking up no car to go pick up a tithe check. That ain't worth going to pick up a tithe check. But when he called, I said, where are you? And I went and picked up this tithe check. And the tithe check was bigger than 3 Sundays of ours. And he says, I'll probably call you back for January to come pick up another tithe check from me. And I said, my gosh. He says, listen, I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, but I don't play about this one thing. He says, I've been tithing since I started my company. 5 years ago, he called me to pick up a tithe check, and it was $5,000 then. 5 years later, he called me to pick up a type check, and it was much more than that. And I said, my gosh. He says, the principles work. He says, tell your people, no matter what you're going through, make sure that you keep with the principles. Because while we're around here trying to figure things out, trying to budget ourselves together, where you at now for real? Are you really in a position that you need to be yet to do what you say you're called to do? If not, I want to test you to try God. I want you to move now in this place. It's a humbling place for you. But you know that you need to cross over right. And you need to get some stuff right now. Move quickly.